Attention! The National Weather Service has issued a hurricane warning for the entirety of the National Hockey League. Please stay tuned for further information from the Storm Cellar.
Welcome back to the Storm Cellar Playoff Edition. Ray, it is very, very unusual for me to say that I am happy there is no hockey today. However, I'm happy there is no hockey today. Canes win Game 6. Huge OT shot by Stats. That's his third playoff OT winner. I mean, we expected more from him when they brought him in, I think, and it just wasn't there. And I thought Jesse might be this year's like Nick Wallin, this year's Max Domi. Maybe Stats is going to be that guy. So, how are things? You have a Hurricanes Leafs household. I have to imagine things are as good in your household as they've been in a decade. In 19 years.
Yeah, exactly. There were times in the dark days where this was a household where playoff hockey was just non-existent. Now that the Leafs were able, I don't know if I can accurately describe the joy that my wife experienced yesterday when that puck went in off of Radish. I'll do my best. She screamed out in joy, and over and over again, she would say, 19 years. I've waited 19 years for this. And I tried to explain this to you off air. It was as though, imagine, if you will, watching physically a humongous gorilla evaporate from on top of the shoulders of your wife. That is how you describe it. Pure, unadulterated joy. And I couldn't have been happier for her. And I got to tell you, I kind of want to see them move on. And I would be willing to cheer for her to have the Leafs win again against whomever. But I warned her, if we end up meeting in the Eastern Conference Final, all bets are off.
I want it to go just like the last time they met in the Eastern Conference Final.
As a matter of fact, that would be fantastic. Yes.
Thank you, Marty Jelena.
Oh my God, Jelena, that goal. Woo. Loved it.
If you're an Islander fan, you got kicked when you're down twice. So first the Canes beat you, and then John Tavares, Mr. Islander for the last decade, who's now public enemy number one on the aisle, scores the OT winner to send the Leafs on for the first time in 19 years. If you're an Islander fan,
you're having miserable.
A bad week. A really, really bad week.
Do you remember how many Tavares jerseys were burned? Like literally burned.
Yeah.
It was like there hundreds of jerseys burned, and just it was unbelievable how the rage that they have on that man. I don't think it is quenched at all. I think he's still and will forever be public enemy number one, won't he?
Even if it was calming down, and I think it probably has some, right?
Yeah.
I got to think that's kind of a twist of the knife.
Oh, sure.
And give the Islanders fans credit. They're kind of the also-rans of the New York area behind the Devils and the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
That always happens with New York teams since there's so many teams in the area.
Right.
They're passionate. I mean, if nothing else, I don't know how well they know hockey sometimes, looking at the number of boos for the calls and things that went on in the series, but that's every fan base. I mean,
And I got to tell you, as far as the Islanders go, and we'll get to this in the series, but just anecdotally, there was a part of me, as excited and happy and loud and cheering and screaming as I was screaming and jumping up and down and watching the screen, and I was seeing the faces of the Islander fans when it was over. And there was a pang of, Raymond, maybe you're enjoying this a little too much, like
little
to see. Yeah, well, the Schadenfreude is reserved for the team that shall not be named. That
Fair.
is legit Schadenfreude. I saw them and they were just, it was that 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah,
That's what was there. You could see the 1,000-yard stare in a lot of people and frowns, and it was tough. But that's the playoffs, right? The
that's the
ultimate
emotions.
highs
Yep.
and the ultimate lows. Like that's really where it's at, you know?
Well, let's dive into the series. So we'll revisit our predictions as we go through around the league, right?
Sure.
So for this one, we both had Canes in 6. Boom, on the
Hmm.
money. That first loss, I think a lot of people took poorly in Carolina. And one of the things I always tell people is you can't win in 6 if you don't lose 2, or you can't win in 7 if you don't lose 3.
Yeah,
You weren't going to
exactly.
sweep the Islanders. They're a good team that you should beat. Like they have some serious deficits that Carolina with a healthy roster should have taken care of easily. But
Right.
we don't, and you beat them without your top 3 forwards. I've said it many times. MacKenzie McEachern is brought up to replace Jack Drury, who gets hurt.
Yeah.
Our $750,000 AHL man puts up 1 goal and 1 assist in 6 games, the same as next year's $8.5 million Bo Horvat.
See, now part of me thinks that you're taking a friendly jab at me there because I was the one here who wanted Bo Horvat desperately amongst the Canes. But you make a valid point. MacKenzie McEachern, the Big Mac, he kind of came in a very it's the way in which he scored his points and
Right.
how he assisted the team, because he was put in an unusual situation where they flew him into Raleigh and he was like, okay, well, get ready. He's like, nah, son, you can't, there's no getting settled around here. We need you at UBS stat. And he went in there, threw on the jersey, and what just brought his game with him
And
and saw big
amazing
results.
for a guy who I think this was his first time up with Carolina. He's an AHL veteran. He's been up and down in the league, so that he's not
Mhm.
like a young kid. But this is his first time up with the Hurricanes, and he's getting top line minutes.
Yeah,
Deserved top line minutes. And
accurate. That's a
and
very accurate statement.
I was with you on Bo Horvat. I think Bo Horvat in Carolina, maybe you see a lot more production out of him just because of the style of play, right? And the opportunities that would be afforded to him. The only problem I have with Bo Horvat is 8 years at $8.5 million for a guy who's having a career year is dangerous. You know what I mean? So long,
Yeah.
like short term, I was all in. I'm like, if we can get Bo Horvat and sign him to something reasonable, I'm in. New York, they had the better first round pick, apparently, is what the deciding factor was.
Mhm.
Which, I kind of joked about, hey, if they beat us, our pick would have been the better pick. But
Yeah, exactly.
I a little of me is hyping on that a little bit because there was a Twitter user, Isles Blogger, who was bashing, like he's like, if Stefan Nosen is your power play guy, you're in trouble. Well,
It's a
Stefan
guy
Nosen
who
had
has
4 points. He had twice as many points as your $8.5 million man. Sorry.
yeah, and there's a lot of people that are really like, where the hell were you, Horvat? Where were you, Bo, when we needed you? Bo doesn't know all sorts of things. Like it was just crazy, right?
We said it was crazy to trade for him because we said you don't even know if you're going to make the playoffs, and if you do, you're going to squeak in. So
Yeah.
it clearly was more of a long-term project. I I still like the fish sticks. Like I like the retro uniforms. There's a couple of cool people out there that are podcasters and bloggers for the aisle. So I still overall, I'll wish them well. Give me a couple of days to get the series out of my system.
Yeah.
Long term, I'm worried about that contract for them.
Yeah, it could be tough, to be sure. When we won the series, let me just say that there were certain players on that team that I just want, it was like in your face. I'm looking at you, Martin. I'm looking at you, Clutterbuck, with that knee to KK in game 5. I'm looking at like a lot of players who really their sole purpose in the game was, if Sebastian Aho's in front of you and he's wearing an opposing jersey, right?
Yeah.
You cross-check him in the kidneys. You cross-check him in the back. You take pod shots. You hack him. You slash him. You make his life miserable. And that was the style of play. So I didn't feel bad for them. Whom I felt bad for, and sadly, I get a feeling that the final goal he allowed will be the overarching image of his performance. And Ilya Sorokin, who I tip my cap to, he was sensational, even with our this could have been a sweep and would have been a sweep without him. He was just that good. It was the Islanders are a good team with an amazing goaltender. That's really how I saw them. And to have Stastny score that goal the way he did, in light of all of the other 10 Bell saves that he made so many times, you feel bad for the guy, because you don't even want to call that goal soft. It's just a fluke.
Just one of those.
It was a fluke goal. And I hope that those that are watching understand and are smart enough to know that you do not put the loss of the series on him. Some people will say that's a terrible goal he never should have allowed, and therefore it's his fault. And
wrong.
That is just, you
do you
cannot
know
look
where
at
they lost it.
Sure.
In my opinion,
yeah,
their power play was 5%, 5.6%. You can't. Sorokin did his job.
Yeah.
You didn't score enough goals. It's the same thing that we complain about with our team. Like, the teams are in that way somewhat similar, defensive minded, not necessarily a lot of scoring. Goaltending's been better than average, but not necessarily exceptional, although their goaltending and Ranta, have been really solid this year. But had the Hurricanes had a 5.6% power play, that's probably, the Isle series to win, right?
Yeah.
So if you're, you gotta score goals in this league. Defense is great, but if you can't score 3, you're probably losing. Our power play went 20%.
That's better than it had been all year.
I'll take it. They scored power play goals. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, wasn't that nuts? And some of us here in the Storm Cellar even called it, and not only called power play goals, but called the right player to make the power play goals. So I'll break my arm patting myself on the back. And for
shout
that
out to Colin from Home Ice Advantage for doing the opposite, right? He was no power play goals, and Aho's going to do nothing, and set it up perfectly.
Yeah,
from his ears to from his mouth to their ears.
Yeah,
they did the opposite of what Colin said, which works too, right? You have like the
that
opposite
always works.
kind of effect.
Yeah, for sure. I'll say this too. I'll tip the cap to Carolina's penalty kill, over 90%. You cannot ask for more.
94-4, man. That is amazing.
That is so good. And they did it right. I can't tell you how many times I saw a winning face-off draw on the penalty kill that immediately led to the puck going down the ice. That's 30 seconds gone. 25 seconds, actually, probably closer to 25 evaporated by winning the draw, winning the battle, getting the puck and firing it down and making them start. And then they just made it next to impossible to cross the blue line and set up shop. I mean, it was a masterwork class,
It was.
of how to do it. So fantastic, great. It feels great to be a Canes fan. Lots of great things going despite the odds stacked against us. And in your face, everyone who was picking against the Canes, the number 2 team in the league.
Yeah. I get with the injuries, not thinking maybe they're the team, but for the TBS TNT crew, the Islanders are not into you dudes. Stop talking about them. On a positive front though, because those guys drove me mad. Freddie Andersen, a lot of people very upset. Freddie Andersen starts game 6.
Game 6, yeah.
He was, I think 0-12 lifetime in potential series clinching games.
Yeah.
Gets that monkey off his back, right?
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. The first goal that goes in,
partially deflected,
right? It should not have been on him anyway, right?
Yes.
It was a defensive breakdown. At first I didn't realize it was deflected. I'm like, okay, I wouldn't call it soft, but it's not the toughest goal to stop. But he should have never been put in this situation. But then Freddie, and a lot of people have commented on this, Freddie looked engaged in a way that he hasn't looked in a long time.
Yeah.
And amazing. Flip side, Ronta rips his pants, which made it onto Dangles Dangits, which is hilarious.
It was hilarious, wasn't it?
And Ronta's like, oh yeah, like, no, we're sewing those pants up. Those pants are going through the playoffs. So
Archie.
Absolutely 100% reminded me of Archie. You don't mess with the streak.
No.
Right? And speaking of stitching things up, poor Sebastian Aho.
Oh
his
my
mouth.
Gosh.
There are Caniacs far and wide upset about his beautiful elfish face is now going to be marred with some hockey scars. But so
the toughness.
2 things. The toughness, right? He gets stitched up. He's back on the ice.
4 minutes.
4 minutes. He misses, I think, 1 shift, maybe. And he is now your all-time playoff points leader for the Carolina Hurricanes, which we didn't mention last week, but I wanted to do it this week. Surpasses Eric Stahl, 20 points in the playoffs as of when he broke the record. I think he's at 21 now. So fantastic effort from him. He needed to come up in the series, and he came up when he was needed.
Pundits, professional analysts, former NHL players, will you please now admit Sebastian Aho is a star, is a superstar? The effort that he put in, the timely goals, the grit that you show. Imagine, I just want everyone listening, imagine getting a puck in the face at a relatively high velocity, bleeding, smashing up your face, maybe breaking a chiclet or two. We don't know exactly what it did to the teeth or whatever. What are you going to do? Are you going to be able to, say, skate off the ice, go into the back and tell the medic, sew me up, do it fast, I've got a game to play? Or would you say, nah, man, I need to just process this and whatever, blah, blah, blah. I mean, not only did he come back, he scored a goal.
Yeah, he didn't slow him down in a bit.
Enough.
That was spicy Aho after that.
Aho is legit, and it's time he get the respect he deserves.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. It's not
all
all I'm going to say
question,
because
having taken the shot and barely to the face.
Oh my Lord.
And we were wearing cages, so it's not like it actually hit my face. It just smacked me in the cage. I mean, it's probably 40 miles an hour. It's not 89. Yeah, I cried a little bit.
It rattles you, doesn't it? Right? Like,
yeah, it's unexpected. So there's the surprise part because even though you know on one level it's going to happen, when it comes up and it's loud and it kind of echoes and your face, the cage is smashed into your nose, it's not the best feeling. It's not the best feeling.
No, not at all. So, like, just a fantastic performance. Although it does bring up a question, and I don't know if we were meant to talk about this now or
okay.
later, but I'll throw it out here now. Who starts between the pipes for the Canes in the second round?
Antti Raanta.
Yeah?
I'm not hesitating. Antti Raanta took you through that series. Freddie, and I'm not saying that it may not switch to Freddie, but Raanta absolutely played lights out for you. I think in general, I think he deserves the opportunity to keep going.
Right.
And the thing with Raanta, and the reason I think they started Freddie is Raanta has an injury history like Freddie.
Yeah.
And the more consecutive games he has, the more he tends to get injured. So I don't think it was like, okay, Freddie's ready, he's the guy. I think it's on the road. We give it to Freddie. If for some reason we win, great. If for some reason we lose, Ronta's rested for game 7 at home in our barn.
Yeah.
I think they go right back to Raanta. I have nothing to base it on other than what I would do if I was Rod Brindamore, which doesn't mean anything because I would like change the power play and stuff too. But
yeah, of course. And here we go. Something that we don't necessarily agree on. I think I might start Freddie, not as a statement to Raanta and what he did, because I'm happy with Raanta and his performance. He was great. Nothing wrong. So even if when they start him, fantastic. I'm selecting Freddie in so much as now he has something to prove. Remember last season, the Vezina Trophy candidate should have been a Vezina Trophy candidate and was denied. He was getting fired up to take the team into the playoffs. And now that he had the chance and the performance that he put in against the Islanders, despite that one goal, which wasn't on him, it was a terrible line change, he's got something to prove, and he's got uber talent. He would be ready to take on the next team, whoever that is. And I would be okay to have him start game 1.
I'd be okay with it too. To be fair, Raanta had a 906. I should remember to do that.
There you go.
Raanta gets you through with a 906 save percentage.
That was great.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Freddie puts up a 971 in that game, which is just, I mean, if you're not going to get a shutout, you can't get a lot better than a 971 unless they just take 60 shots on you. So whomever they choose is going to be fine.
Great shape.
Some of it would depend on matchups. Let's go around the league because there are other games. I want to start in the East this time.
Okay.
And I want to start with a prediction that we both made, and I kind of amended a little bit. So we're both very wrong, but we might end up with a win just because of luck. We both said Boston probably in 5. Boston should be kicking the kitties bums back and forth all over the ice.
Yeah.
But I remember saying, and I'll have to find the clip that I said, if it goes 7, Florida could win. And I know that sounds like sounds like a hot take, right? Because if it goes 7, obviously you just have to win one game.
Yeah.
What I really mean was going into game 7 for Florida, I think they're in the driver's seat. I think they have the momentum. Like they've pulled off 3 games against the Bruins. The Bruins are reeling a little bit. I think Florida, I want Florida to pull this out. I don't know if they can, but there's enough of me that has faith. How Chairman Mo would it be for Florida to stink in the regular season, barely make the playoffs, and then kick the, all-time best regular season team to the curb in 7 games, and then like just flop against Toronto. I mean, no offense, but
Yeah, like
if I had money to put on the series, I would take a flyer on Florida in this game. I really would.
they're doing like, look, Kachuk, right? The trade that they said, and it was so funny. We wanted to have a playoff team. He is the guy that we needed to join the team to make good on the mistake last year. Last year's President's Trophy winner. And there's another thing. A former President's Trophy winner eliminated has the chance to eliminate the current President's Trophy winner, which is just out of my mind. I did not see this coming. And all season long, they were talking about, well, we built this team for the playoffs and stuff. And it's oddly enough, I needed to give them a reminder a couple of times. Hey, guys, you got to make the playoffs.
You do
first, and they before you can even get there. So this whole we've got a playoff team. Well, that's outstanding, but you got to make it first. And they get in by the skin of those, kitty claws. Just barely get in. And as their reward, they face the best regular season game in the history of the league, statistically.
Right.
How in the world do they do a deal with it? And they turn to the guy that they brought in for playoff situations, which was Kachuk. Yep. And you may not like his style because he's definitely an agitator, but he's a high scoring agitator.
Right.
So, and he's just dragging them along. He's dragging them in.
He's definitely the Brad Marchand of Florida. I mean,
yeah, no question. No question. And give Bobrovsky, we need to tip the cap to him because Lyon, who was great, who stole that first game, Boston solved him. They solved him.
Yeah.
And Coach Mo, you know what? He went to Bobrovsky, and ever since
he's been very mediocre. Bobrovsky's not been playing up to his contract down there.
Not in the least.
And now it's like, oh, I need to play. Like I think sitting him for Lyon pokes some feelings very deep down, and he's responded. If Florida wins, I'm still going to find a way to pick up a Lion jersey. Because I said I would. I said if Florida wins the series, I'll get a Lions jersey. So
he was the reason that they split the 2 games
in Boston.
Boston.
That's just from mentally.
That's the difference.
We can beat them, right? We know we can do this now. To the point that the Bruins have not ruled out starting Swayman in tonight's game. As good as Allmark has been. Now that could just be, we don't want you to know who we prepare for, right? Very Rod Brindamore. Like I'm going to let you guys guess at who the attendee is going to be. But the fact that it's just not a certainty, as good as Allmark has been this year, I mean, crazy, scary Shesterkin last year kind of good, Vasilevsky in his prime good.
Yeah.
If I'm the Kitties, I'm feeling, I wouldn't be cocky, but I would definitely walk into the locker room tonight with my head up, my shoulders back, ready to play some hockey, right?
They went into the locker room and Kachuk was saying after they won in Boston to force the game back to Florida, and they played a clip of Kachuk saying, guys, remember this room, remember it well, because we're coming back here in game 7. His own little guarantee victory type comment. And he is in between Allmark's ears, which is the reason why I think they might actually go with Swayman. And here's another, and Swayman's been fantastic. That is your Jennings Trophy winner combination right there, much like Andersen and Ranta were last year. It's Allmark and Swayman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's who it is. So they don't lose anything either with him in net.
Right. And Kachuk and Marchand both lead the series respectively with 10 points each.
Yeah.
Their stars are playing star quality hockey.
So it's gonna be a great contest this evening. It's gonna be one to watch. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
That's a big TV one for me.
Woo.
Let's see who else we got. We haven't talked really Maple Leafs about the series yet, right?
We didn't really so much talk about the series.
They won. Like I don't want to dive too deep into every series because but John Tavares puts the nail in the coffin, gets the Leafs ahead. It's the double whammy for Islander fans, losing to the Canes and former, not hometown hero, but former Islander hero Tavares goes home to the Leafs and finally picks it up. Austin Matthews gets a goal in that game yesterday.
Yep.
The question now is how far can the Leafs go? Because I'm happy for our Leaf friends out there, right? Courtney, Beth, Steve Dangle, who I just find hilarious.
He is.
I'm legit happy for those folks at this point because, it's been so long. I still don't want to see Toronto win a cup. So no offense to the misses, but I'm still not going that far.
None taken. I'm not either.
I like to see a Leafs Hurricanes final once again. The throwback to, was it 02? Man. I think that was
02. It was.
Yes, that's what I want to see now. That's my new goal. Is I want to see Hurricanes Leafs in the Eastern Conference Finals, just because it would be fun. And
think about the stories there too. Freddie Andersen would be part of the team coming back and so forth, right? Against the Leafs. Interesting.
Could you imagine if Freddie Andersen knocked the Leafs out of the playoffs in the Eastern Conference Finals? Toronto would have a whole new reason to melt down.
Yeah.
No
question.
I mean, speaking of story, I mean, just think of storylines. You're 100% right. That would be. It wouldn't be as big as the 19-year drought for round 2.
No,
but it would certainly be second.
A very interesting story. As far as the series go and the Leafs over the Bolts first, the Bolts, they've played a lot of hockey in the last 3 years. And so they've got nothing to feel bad about being dumped in the first round. They were playing with house money, right? Because they've been just so good. And I mean, the great thing is now we're guaranteed to have a new Eastern Conference champion. So that is that's great for the league. You know what I mean? That it's not all in one place. But I would say this series for the Bolts was lost in game 4.
Oh,
that's actually when they lost. When they had a 3-1 lead and watched the Leafs in the third period just score 3 straight. And that Leafs fan, you saw the clip of the Leafs fan in the stands in Tampa who was just screaming about and how excited he was because he knew they went up 3-1. And he was just so excited. I knew the Leafs could do it after that. Even yesterday, when my wife was so nervous and feeling bad about it, I said, Carolyn, understand, in that very barn, they scored 3 goals to come down from 3-1 and win the game. There's no reason that they can't get this game won.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so congratulations to the Leafs. I think that's when they won it. They said, no, enough's enough. We are this good. We can take it from you. And, the Lightning, they did what they could.
Yeah.
But time's up, guys. Time's up.
I said Leafs in 6. You said Leafs in 7. I said if it went 7, I think the mental game comes in and then the Leafs lose because I think they just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Vasilevsky looks human. Again.
He does.
He's not a goaltending robot anymore. So a lot going
and
on.
still played great.
Still was an amazing goalie. Right?
That's the funny thing. He was fantastic all series long, but we are saying he looks human, and I think that states how great he has been over the past 3 years.
I think the one change I would make to that series is the league needs to mandate one of them needs to change what shade of blue they wear, because it is the hardest series to watch because they both basically use the same color blue. If you look on ESPN today, Ray, they do the pictures of the goal scorers on the game synopsis.
Yeah.
And they use the blue jersey for both teams. So there's 3 guys dressed in blue, even though they were scored for 2. Like they didn't use like the home colors or whatever. They used the blue jersey for both teams, which makes sense, right? Because that's the home jersey. But you look at it and you have to remember, okay, that guy isn't a Leaf. It's
exactly.
It's minor, but if I'm being nitpicky, that's it.
Yeah, for sure.
The final one in the East was Devils Rangers.
That's the one we're waiting on now.
I think we both had Rangers in 7.
Yep.
I kind of hope it's the Devils. Not kind of. I really hope it's the Devils in 7. I don't know if they can do it. This series, in some ways, to me, is a tale of deadline drama.
Right.
Timo Meier has 0 points in the
Yeah.
playoffs. 0. Goose egg. None. Nil.
Wow.
Tarasenko and Kane have 10 combined. So if you're New Jersey, you've got to find a way to have Timo Meier contribute.
Yeah. He's got
to find a way to shut down Kane and Tarasenko.
For sure.
I mean, that's a big part of this, right?
Yeah, and my thought on all of this was Meier was going to be pivotal for them because he could be the guy that takes all of the focus off of Hughes. And
a veteran guy gives some leadership to what is otherwise a young and upcoming club is how I looked at it.
And I did not see Akira Schmidt coming in the way he did. Man, he came in hot. He was outstanding. Shutting out, and I'm going to say it, an all-star offense. He shut out an all-star offense.
Totally.
That's amazing. Now, he didn't look as good yesterday. And so there's a little nick in the armor, right? There's and so the Rangers are going to be feeling good. They've got a lot of positive to feel. And I think, these are always coin flip games, game 7, no matter the situation.
Yeah.
Like we're talking, like the Devils and Rangers were separated by 3 points, I think.
Yeah, they're really compatible teams.
They're just right there. This is not a 48-point difference between the Panthers and the Bruins. You know what I mean? Which is insane.
Which in a game 7 is equally a coin flip. I mean,
I know, and really that's the weird thing. It shouldn't be. When you look at the distance between the two teams, it should not be a coin flip, but it is. So here we go, and there's the coin flip. I'd like to see the Devils do it. I think the Rangers, though, would have enough experience.
Yeah, I agree.
To get through it. But I have to tell you, I've never seen people say that Canes fans can turn on their own team quickly. Man, I've never seen anything like what the Rangers fans were doing to their team after losing those 3 straight. I'm not kidding. Like you hear it all over. You see it online. They were ready to just murder everyone.
Yeah,
it was so crazy. It's like, guys, it's a 7-game series until someone wins 4. What are you doing ripping on them? You can be upset that they lost games, and in a sense, they had reason to complain because the way in which the Rangers lost those 3 games,
Right.
they did not look like they even bothered to show up.
I would just want them to do that one more time this year.
Yeah. You know
I would
what?
love to see Devils. I'm with you. I feel like the Rangers have the advantage. I would like it to be the Devils. And some of that is, even though I won't be in PNC and you won't be in PNC, I want Caniacs to go into their barn and it be full of red. And even those Caniacs who are Rangers fans during the regular season hopefully will show up in their Canes gear for the playoffs. But I don't want that to even be a storyline, because it takes away from Carolina being second in attendance in the league.
Yeah.
It takes away from the stadium series. It takes away from all the good, and it just becomes, oh, like your barn is full of Ranger fans. Like the Hurricanes deserve better than that. The fan base deserves better than that.
No question.
You know? And if Shesterkin's not on point, then, I mean, so New Jersey has a chance. I mean, for newer hockey folks, the big thing with the Game 7 is every team in the league is good enough to beat every other team. Over a 7-game series, the best team should prevail. But when you get down to a Game 7, it's a best of one. Yeah. And all it takes is a bad call or a good penalty call, or you hit the crossbar or the post and it goes in versus out. It's literally a game of inches. And any of those things can give you an advantage or a disadvantage, right? You get an early goal and you're in the driver's seat, and now you just have to maintain, right? You don't have to chase. Or you get behind because you give up an early power play or something, and now you're chasing. And that changes the fundamental way that you play the game, particularly the later it gets. And so, you know, when you get to a Game 7, like you said, the fact that you have 40 points up on another team really is irrelevant. It doesn't seem like it should be. And statistically, when we're talking statistics, if you play 100,000 games, the Bruins should win 8,000 of those, or 80,000 of those. But it's just one.
It's just
one.
It's
not 50-50. But the way that Florida is playing, it's a lot closer to 50-50 than the regular season would dictate. And that's what makes playoff hockey fun and exciting and heart attack inducing and rage inducing and all the things that come with the winning and the losing. But that's the emotional involvement and investment from the fans is what makes hockey really cool. So
it is. We're gonna
Devils, one more Devils, just
one more,
win one more and then lose. You can lose all the ones after that, but just win one more.
Exactly. That would be absolutely lovely. Let's go to the West.
Let's go.
Your prognostication has been sensational. I'm not gonna lie.
So I don't have like a puppy shooting basketballs down the stairs. But,
wasn't that was amazing?
But I do okay. I mean, I think the dog has me beat, but I do all right, I think, this year.
So the Knights over the Jets in 5. You called it in 5. I called it in 6. I thought there would be more from Hellebuck and more from the team that has guys like Connor and Wheeler and lots of they've got talent on there. But you saw after the loss, man, there's some serious problems in Winnipeg. And it might be the reason why Coach Mo just voluntarily stepped down, surprisingly, last season. And no one knew the reason why. Well, now I think we're getting a look at the reason why.
I thought that was weird because they weren't playing well at the time, but they weren't playing that bad either. You know what I mean?
No. They're right in the middle. They were like the average team or whatever. And that's perhaps the situation that they're in now, where they have enough talent to be more than that. But as you know, Rick Bowness might say, they refuse to push back. And if they don't push back, they're not going to be anything. And that caused, and I think it just, the Knights saw a team on the ropes and gave them the knockout punch.
I was going to say, Vegas has a killer instinct that other teams, the Canes included, sometimes just don't have.
No, they were just sensational. They did, and they came away with it. And there really isn't much more to say other than there's big problems in Winnipeg, and I'm wondering how they're going to deal with it. And the Knights looked fantastic. Just dealing with who they needed to deal with.
Do you think the Knights are the best team in the West right now? I mean, there's a couple of good teams. No? Oh.
No, I don't. And we'll get to it.
Beautiful. I love it.
Let's go to the Stars and Minnesota, the Wild. We both picked Dallas. I picked them though in 7, and you got it right again. So congrats to you, man. You're just on fire. I want to share the money that you've been gambling and making these calls. Sorry, and
it's all about the Fens, baby.
That's right.
If they had fewer Fens, I would have agreed with you in 7, but I said nope. They got enough Fens on that team that Fens. We know Fens get wins, so
yeah,
that's why
no
I
question.
said Dallas in 6.
And there's really not much more to say there, right? Like Ottinger was fantastic in the end. Ottinger
Except when
was
he wasn't.
the reason, except for when he wasn't. Yeah, isn't that the case? That's the way it always is. They're either just outstanding, upper level, otherworldly, or man, oh man, what the heck are you doing? And but the Stars came through, and they've got a great, talented team that I just don't. I wouldn't want to face them. They've got some mojo on their side, and it's Finns. But
I don't know if we could beat them with the depleted lineup, but I would pay big money to go see a Stars Hurricanes Stanley Cup final.
No question.
Because win or lose, honestly, I would come away happy on some level because they are a fun team to watch.
They are.
They play hockey the right
are.
way. They check a lot of boxes for me.
And
if I had a second team, that they would be the leading contender.
And look, any opportunity to watch the Finland's national hockey team inter-squad game. I mean, come on now. That's some good stuff right there.
And you've added some since last time, right? Now Puljujärvi's in there too. So
yeah, no question. We're just building it up. Let's go to Los Angeles. Man, what a game that was last night. I mean, back and forth. Oilers though come out, even though Skinner with a Dangles dang it, that is definitely going to be put in there. They found a way. And here is where I'm saying who the best team in the West is right now. The best team in the West is the Oilers. And I know that you and I both have cracked on them for being a 2-player team. No longer.
They're getting contributions up and down the line because we both said this was going to go 7.
We did, and because I wasn't sure about the secondary scoring aspect. That really was the difference, right? And Carpusalo was he's a great goaltender. I gave them the nod, even over Skinner, who was fantastic in the lead up into this, but required some help down the road as Campbell jumps in the middle of a game and actually helps get them a win, shuts the door after they were just hemorrhaging goals, and he stopped the Kings cold, and then the Oilers went out and won it. And up and down the lineup, when you look at, okay, I want you, don't you can't look this up, okay, but I want you to tell me as far as the goals scored and who won the game for them. I want
the last game, you mean?
For the Oilers, for last night's game.
I mean, Yamamoto.
Okay.
Right?
You know what?
I think that's right.
Yamamoto got the game winner.
Okay.
But I want
I got you. Which goal was like the goal which broke the back?
Yeah, like here we go.
Costin's goal, I think, was the one the late goal for them, wasn't it?
Costin got one. It was in the second, but Costin scored twice. Do you know how many points that McDavid had? He scored the first goal of the game, and he got an assist and a helper, 1-1. That was all he did.
Costin really is the one who was driving the offense in some
Well,
ways.
this is and Draisaitl,
Gotcha.
1 point. But then you look at guys like Costin, who had a goal and an assist. Yamamoto had a goal and an assist. Who else here? McLeod. I mean, it was.
They have their own MacKenzies out there.
They do. That's what it is. Canes fans,
Guys
that's
stepping up
exactly
at the
what
right
it is.
time.
Everyone's stepping up. We always talk about the secondary scoring. Well,
Mhm.
the secondary scoring is the reason why the Oilers moved on. And if they can keep that up, they are the team to beat. They are the team to beat because they're getting the support from the lines underneath. A power play that is like where they were scoring at 30%.
Yeah.
Like it's unbelievable. The Oilers are the team in the West. And when I look at an Oilers Knights series, it's going to be tough. The Knights are strong, but I've got the Oilers winning that series against the Knights because it just what they have been able to put together has just been sensational. The Oilers are a juggernaut now. You couldn't call them that before. Everyone liked to because of, the dynamic duo, but now they're legit because they're getting it up and down the lineup.
I'll
Up
say
and down.
so. I had two issues with them. One was secondary scoring, which they had none, and now they do. Goaltending, I've said repeatedly, like they have an okay goaltender, they don't have an elite goaltender. And looking at the games, LA scored 4-2, 3, 4, 3, and 4.
That's a lot of points.
That's a lot of goals to give up.
It
In
is.
the first round, that is an exceptional amount if that can't be improved upon as they get through the West. Because teams like Vegas can put up points, Dallas can put up points.
Yeah.
You don't want to get into a run and gun shooting match with Dallas. I don't think.
I don't know that you do. I would say that's correct, but then I also know that a run and gun game doesn't scare the Oilers at all. They're happy to.
It doesn't, but if you get into a run and gun with Dallas, for example,
Yeah.
and Otter's playing well,
Yikes.
you might put up 4 goals, but you're probably gonna lose 5-4 or 6-4.
And
I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm just saying when I think Oilers, I still have questions about goaltending.
No question. And
that's why they wouldn't be my top team, I think, out West, although I can see where they have certainly started to put it all together. And we've seen that, right? The Hurricanes in 2006, that Stanley Cup. In 2002, the run against Detroit. The team is playing hockey well at the right time of year and getting contributions at the right time. And any team can do that. So if Edmonton can get that goals against down in the 2-point whatevers, then you have my attention.
Then watch out.
I mean,
yeah.
Then you have my attention of they might be the team to beat.
I need to circle back on something very, very quickly, just to point out. You brought up 2006 and how great it was for us, and then you referencing goaltending on Sirius XM. I was listening, and I had one person refer to Akira Schmid as he's having a Cam Ward season.
Ooh,
he's having a Cam Ward playoff.
Like
and I enjoyed that. And I was like, wow, he is the benchmark. You know what I mean? Cam Ward is the benchmark of rookie goaltenders in the playoffs now. He and forever will be. You know what I mean? So, and should be. You know what I mean? So very, very well earned. We'll now go back to where we were. Game 7. Game 7, the Avs and Seattle. The Kraken, to me, have already succeeded. I did not see this one. I had the Avs in 6.
So did I.
And they were going to be a thorn in the Avs side. Let me say I have no idea why Eberle has not been suspended, why he didn't receive 5 minutes.
Crazy.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah. For anybody who doesn't know, the hit he drove on
Cogliano
fractured his C5, which is your fifth cervical vertebrae.
For reference point for fans, this is Orpik on Cole.
100%.
In 2006.
It was called a 2-minute minor. It wasn't even a major penalty. And with a medical background, just for folks out there, when you start talking about your C3, 4, and 5 spine, a spinal cord injury in that area, we start talking about not just paralysis of, arms and legs potentially, but like breathing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like C4 might be your diaphragm, so that's a little high. So something below that wouldn't affect it. But, the fact it's a neck injury is in itself bad. The fact that it's, like a C5 injury is not good in general. Like this is a serious issue. The fact that the league hasn't done anything to address it since it happened is just wild to me.
Now I'll ask a question, because Cogliano did actually come back to the bench after the hit. Did that get into the minds of, health and safety NHL to say, well, it couldn't have been that bad, and maybe that's why it's only 2 minutes? And I'm not trying to find an excuse, because use your eyes, look at the play. It was dangerous. It was injury inducing. He should be suspended. Now, Eberle is not a dirty player. Normally, you would never, of the dirty players capable of that type of hit, Eberle's name is nowhere. You never see it. In fact, I was surprised. I wondered, who was it that hit him? Eberle. I'm like, what? Eberle's not that guy.
And Cogliano didn't turn or anything. That was the thing with the Jack Drury hit, right? It was 5 and they reduced it to 2 because they said he turned at the last moment. Shannon, the hockey guy on YouTube, I asked him, and he said he turned at the last second. I'd call it 2 because he turned and squared up. And I said, okay, that's a very independent look at it. I trust that opinion. This wasn't that.
No.
Right? This should have been a 5 for one.
Yep.
And then, I know you're kind of playing devil's advocate, but the failures here are, it wasn't called a major.
Yeah.
And there should be a review process. Like Rod, we'll have to talk this offseason about Rod Brendamore's idea to get 2 officials off the ice and into a booth. Fantastic idea, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So they lost it at a 5. Then he gets cleared by medical staff to return. And if they x-ray him and take a look at it and there's swelling on, they can't tell, that's a failing on the medical staff. He should not have been cleared to return the game. And that, for newer folks, that's not a player's decision. The team doctor's job is to say, you physically could get hurt worse playing. You can't play. Regardless of if the player says, I feel fine, just get me back out there. And there's a lot of pressure for that, right? The player's like, how long will this take? Like, I'm going to miss a shift. I want to get out there. I'm all for hockey players being tough. They are the toughest athletes in sports. More than football players, way more than baseball players and basketball players.
Don't even get started. How much of it for Cogliano was the fact that it was an elimination game? And
that's how these guys are.
It's an elimination game,
how you
and
get to the NHL, right?
Yeah, it's all hands on deck.
Not just competitive, hyper competitive.
Yeah, if I'm breathing, I'm going. Right. Like that seems to be
guys
what it
losing
is.
Teeth and breaking bones and not missing shifts, or missing a shift but not a period, is a common thing in hockey. And one part of me says, I wish it wasn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you take a puck to the face and get stitched up, that's not serious injury. You know what I mean? That's not a broken neck.
No.
Like, you can come back in and deal with it later. Having a tooth knocked out, that happens to people in day-to-day life. And it's not like, you don't have to be at the dentist in an hour to have that fixed. You can wait a little while. You can come back in.
Yeah.
But when you start talking about a guy running to the boards, holy smokes.
Neck.
That the league has failed him on that. His team doctors failed him on that. That's the type of hit that needs to come out of hockey.
Would you put it more to the medical staff allowing him to go back into the game? Or do you put it on Cogliano just overrunning? Or maybe this is not either of them. I don't want to accuse anyone or conspiracy
for me with the
theory.
medical
Could be
background,
GM, right?
For me, it's on the medical staff is going to get pressure from the players, from the GM, from the coach. They want the guy in. He is a critical part of their team.
Yep.
If you cannot stand up and say, no, he's hurt, he can't play, don't take that job.
Yeah.
There are a million doctors. If you can't look at the GM or the player in the eye and say, no, I can't tell what's going on with your neck. That's a bad hit. I need to know more.
Yeah.
Don't take the job. I put the fault of him coming back on the medical staff because I know they were being highly pressured to get him back in the game. Part of the job is you're not a yes man. Your job is to keep him from being paralyzed.
What
if he goes out? What if he goes out and somebody else hits him and he then is paralyzed? Or it's high enough and he stops breathing and because maybe the C5 is damaged, maybe it does affect like his diaphragm or something.
Right.
Then what's the story there, but then how many people's like his life is obviously in shambles. Think about wife, kids, mom, dad, friends, family, the look. I mean, the whole thing, right? You have to stand up and go, I don't see enough. And maybe the x-ray and the doctor said, no, this looks clean. And he just goofed. I mean, that happens. Like x-ray, if you've ever looked at an x-ray, without formal training, it's really hard to tell what's going on.
Yeah.
But, he was back out there so quick. And by quick, I mean, he wasn't gone for an hour.
I was astonished that he was even back on the ice. I was astonished.
I can't believe they didn't keep him out for the game.
I looked at it, I was like, I understand that it is an elimination game. And Cogliano, although not in the, he's not the upper echelon of the talent on the team, right? Like, but I was stunned. I was just stunned. I remembered how awful the hit was on Cole from Orpik. And I looked at it and was just like, how in the world is he coming back? Is that this? I was hoping that it wasn't a competition to see who could be the toughest player reference in the playoffs, right? There's the player from Winnipeg who took a goaltender's skate to the face, cut for 75 stitches right near his eyeball, almost lost an eye, stitched up and coming back out onto the bench, and he's smiling and giggling and so what I was like, what are you doing, Cogliano? You're trying to out tough the guy from the other series, be the benchmark of toughness in the playoffs. Don't that's dangerous, right? And so we wish him the best. But NHL, come on.
Yeah. Average NHL career, by the way, is like 4.25 years. It's not long.
Yeah.
And the reason it's not long is things like that, right?
I hear you. So,
so who do you think is going to end up winning that? Do you think the Avs have enough, or do you think the Kraken are rolling on enough goodwill early in their time in the league that they can pull this one off?
I'm still going with the Avs, despite the injuries, and Nichushkin's gone, and now Cogliano, and I think that hit and the whole fact that Eberle got nothing, they're going to be coming out on fire in Colorado. I'm not saying that it's going to be a wipeout. It'll be a tight game, because the Kraken have brought it and they've shown their strength and abilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's to me, it's the Avs. They're going to win it in 7.
I think the Avs had the advantage, although I'm kind of pulling for Seattle. I think the
Avs I am too.
But if Seattle won, I would be happy.
So. I would be very happy for them, even though, look, they have already succeeded beyond comprehension as far as team in the league for the second year.
Yep.
You know?
Amazing work out there in Seattle.
It is.
So real quick before we wrap up for the day,
Sure.
Let's do round 2 predictions, because round 2 is going to start this week, and some of these we'll have to play with a little bit.
Sure.
Just looking at the bracket here, we'll kind of go in reverse order here.
Okay.
Assuming it is Stars Avalanche, and assuming it is Stars Kraken, who do you have?
Stars.
Stars,
no matter what. And I would say Stars with Kraken able to take down Colorado. I still think it would be Stars in 6. Colorado is very, and I think it's, you know what, Stars in 6 no matter what. You know what I mean? Like, Stars are just going to win this next series. Yep. The injuries will be too much for the Avs, and yeah, that's right. Stars in 6.
I agree. Stars in 6 no matter what happens in the other series. I think that's fair. So, also looking out west, because I'm kind of going counterclockwise through the bracket.
No, that's all right.
We know it's going to be Vegas and Oilers.
Yeah.
You just said the Oilers are the best team out west. Are you sticking with that?
I am. I think they if they can keep this up, I see the Oilers probably winning this one. I think it's going to be a long series. I'm giving the Knights are playing great. They'll be fresh, but the Oilers just too much. They'll win it in 7.
And I think that it's also going 7, but I think this is it's Vegas. So to talk about luck in the Vegas team is kind of funny in and of itself.
It is kind of, isn't it?
They've had good luck. Like, they've had these, things just go their way. I think that's going to work for them again. And I'm definitely going to say, I think this is going to be Vegas in 7.
There you go. Moving on.
All right. Moving on to the East. Let's do, it'll either be Leafs, Bruins, or Leafs, Panthers.
Yeah.
Who you got?
Who do I want, or who do I think?
Yes.
Oh, good Lord. I would like, who do I want? I want the Leafs. Just so I can set up the confrontation for what I want based on the other series. I think the Leafs, with that, exercising that first round demon the way they have, I think that they will be able to carry that momentum into the next one. My hope is that they can do it. I would pick the Leafs having to do it in 7 again, because they can't do anything without drama and anxiety and all the rest of it. That's what I want. What I believe is that if it's the Bruins, it would end up being Bruins in 6. If it's the Panthers, I say Leafs in 7.
Okay, I'd buy that for $1. Yeah, I hope it's the Panthers. I think I agree with you entirely. I think if it's the Bruins, this is going to be an old time battle, right? Old time hockey kind of.
And another gorilla on their back. The Bruins had the Leafs number for a long time, and it's like, my wife said, I want the Panthers. I'm cheering hard for the Panthers. I don't want any part of Boston.
Yeah.
And my thought was, I don't know, do you cheer to take on the team that just took out the greatest President's Trophy winner ever? I don't know. I don't know that you really want that.
Yeah. I mean, Florida shouldn't have the firepower to match up with the Bruins.
No.
And Toronto's got a lot of firepower. They haven't been able to put it together until this year, but they have a lot of firepower. So I think I'm with you on that one. That just leaves Hurricanes Devils or Hurricanes Rangers.
Okay. So here we are. What we want and what we think. Understand Caniacs and
This is a tough
jerks.
one.
Understand Caniacs and jerks. I'm not, these colors don't run. I've been a fan of this franchise since 1982.
You're
1980.
old. Ooh.
I am old. I want nothing more than to see the Hurricanes move on. And I believe they can. I just think that the injuries and the inability to finish might be too much to make it to the next round. I want to be so wrong. My
I hear
guts are turning saying it. I feel awful. Awful. I don't see the Hurricanes winning the next series, no matter who's in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it pains me to say that.
I mean, you're missing 3 of your top 6 guys. It pains you. That doesn't make it honest. I mean, because
I'm trying.
It's
Yeah,
not like a hot take, if I'm being honest. I totally get it.
So my brain says it would be Rangers in 6, Devils in 7. My heart says Canes in 7 for both. Canes in 7 for both. That's the best that I could hope for. And further, it making it through this next round. You recall previously, and everyone can go back on the tape, I said this season would be a failure if they couldn't make it to the Cup final. It would be a failure in my eyes.
Yep.
Now that's how I said it long ago. Pre-injury. Exactly. Pre-injuries. If they can get past the second round, frankly, I think this is already a success. Already success. The injuries are just so big, and they're key, right? But they make it past the second round into the final. I'll tell you that would make the season a success for me. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Canes.
Sorry. It's if the Devils pull this off, I think the Canes could beat the Devils. I think they legitimately, even with guys out, can beat the Devils.
Yeah.
If the Rangers pull this out, I don't know that you can go against, because they're going to just play dirty, right? You're probably going to lose at least another guy.
Yeah.
It's just the Rangers being the Rangers.
Trouba's out there, right?
If it's the Rangers, I think the Rangers take it in 7. I think it's still close. I think the Hurricanes have enough grit and determination and all those things, right? Intestinal fortitude, Mick Foley, for all the rest of fans to call it.
Love intestinal fortitude.
So if it's the Rangers, I think they probably take it in 7. If it's the Devils, I think you can beat them in 7. My heart certainly says you could beat either team, right? Because once again, if it's a 7-game series, you just got to win that best of 1 at the end.
Yep.
I'm with you. I will say, I think that getting out of round 1, even with the injuries, was a necessity for the Canes. You're that much better than the Islanders, even without even without Svechnikov and Patches, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Jack Drury's hurt, and you're still better. You're better than them. You should have won that series in 6, and you did. Like you've met expectations.
Yeah.
With those injuries, can you win the next round? I don't know if you can, but the fact that we're even debating if you can without Patches, Svechnikov, Tavo, and Drury being out, so it's really 4 guys. 4 of your top 6 are out, and Drury, you could say Drury's not normally a top 6 guy. Fine, top 9. The fact we're even giving them a chance says something, right, about the team. Because any other team loses 4 of their top 9, you're not going to say that they might be able to take on and win a second-round playoff series. You're just not. Because they're not built that way, right? They're built around a star player or 2 who puts in goals and does the dirty work. They are built around Tkachuk. They are built around, a Marchand. They are built around a Draisaitl. They're built around a McKinnon. The Hurricanes are not. So the fact that we think that they could win a second round, even potentially with 4 of their top 9 out, is huge. If they can do it, the season is a huge success based upon where they're at now. Huge.
I'm feeling myself in the 1,000-yard stare. I think this might be the first time ever I have picked against my team. And I don't know if that means my brain has taken over my heart. I don't know. I look at this, the odds are so stacked. The odds are just stacked against this team. And in my heart, there's part of me that says good, because you know what? The Canes have always been, even in the dark times, a team that had heart, determination. They wanted to win. They're doing their best. They just didn't have the things. You know what I'm saying? So I believe, I believe honestly that it is not out of reach to say that the Canes could win the next series, no matter who's in it. It's not out of reach, but my head says, if you're wanting to be right, you've got to look at everything. Look at the facts. Be real. I'm
trying to be objective.
Yeah, trying to be objective.
Don't be ESPN or TBS or TNT. Be objective.
Yeah, like the Pollyanna side of me says, "Oh yeah, Canes in 6," and if it's the Rags, Canes in 4. You know.
Yeah,
but
we wish.
We do, right? So it's a little too much to expect. I apologize. Caniacs, jerks, understand. I'm going to be cheering my arse off. You're going to hear me wherever you are in this world. When the Canes score, you're going to hear me screaming in Calgary. Okay? That won't change.
No. But
dag nabbit.
You have 35% of your top 9 forwards out of the playoffs potentially.
Yikes.
Maybe Tavo comes back, maybe Drury comes back, then you're in a little better shape, and that helps. And that's why I'm not shutting down the possibility that they can beat them, because if either of those guys comes back and plays well, you have a shot. But it's you, regardless of seeding, you are the underdog in round 2.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was strange to say that when you're the number 2 team in the league, right? But as a medic here, I'm going to just quickly put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When they said that Tavo broken hand surgery, certainly out for the thing, I believe that this was out for the playoffs type injury. Could Turbo come back to the playoffs after surgery on a broken hand and play?
So guys have done it, and that's the main. So my medical knowledge, I because you don't know, right? I don't know where the pins went, because I know he got pins in his hand. It depends on, can he grip a stick at all?
Yeah,
that type of a thing. My guess is unlikely, but guys have done it. Like, guys have figured out, like, if the cast is set in such a way that I can slip my stick in there, I can do something, right?
Interesting. Because I just you got to be able to hold on to your stick. And I just thought, if you're getting surgery into your hand, to me, I was like, well, you're done, right? Like, that takes time to heal. You got to be able to move your hand. How much pressure could you put on the stick for a wrist shot? You know what I mean? Like those snappy wrist shots that he 100%. Has, you can't, like, that's got to be super pain. How much?
Even if he comes back, he's at 50% or something. It's Turbo at 50%. Is he better than McEachern at 100?
No.
So I guess the question is, even if he can play, do you want him in? I think I'd rather have McEachern in right now.
Yeah, his size and his proven ability so far. Yeah, he's doing real well.
He's filled the role as well as anybody could be expected to. I mean, and we still have Reeves and Pano and those guys available
to interchange.
I don't think we're going to see them, but they're available. And those guys can put pucks in the net.
quick shout out to the Daily Kaylee, who again
It's called into service.
fantastic called into service. What a fantastic flag for Turbo. Magnificent. Kaylee, big shout out to
Thank you for that. That's
wow. You so
hopefully this is really truly the
great.
last one for the year.
The
right?
last one. No more. Okay. I mean, you've done enough.
Whew. We have to.
That's gonna do it, man. We've covered a lot. My goodness, I can't wait for next week. I'm anxious to see who we're gonna end up playing. Caniacs and Jerks in PNC, get fired up. Enjoy the tailgating and the lead in, and remember, I may have picked against us, but I'm not cheering against us. I'm cheering hard. I want the Canes to move on to the next round. I think they can do it. It is possible. It's going to take a yeoman's effort, and that means you Caniacs are going to have to be nuts in that barn. Bring it.
Gotta be a loud building.
Bring it, and really bring it on. No matter who's in net, no matter what. Bring the noise. Bring the noise for both Brad and I. And let me tell you, we'll be doing our part over here. To be sure.
Absolutely. Game 1 probably is a Wednesday start, so you got a couple of days to rest those vocal cords and get
exactly prepped. Lots of tea. Make sure a little tea and honey or whatever, that'll keep things nice and supple for when you really have to bring it, right? So I'm not a medic, but Grandma says that tea and honey fixes everything. So there you go. Brad, great episode. And if you want to find us, if you want to ask us questions, if you want to be part of the show, where do they go?
You can email us stormcellar97@gmail. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/stormcellar97. Find us on Twitter at stormcellar97. There's a theme.
There's a theme. Yeah, 100%.
tr.ee/stormcellar97 gives you all of those things, plus links to the blog and the podcast on Spotify and Apple Music, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
And if you want to take issue with my personal stance, what I've just said, I'm a big boy. I can handle it. You can bring it to me at Judge Wapner 10. That's where you'll find me on Twitter. And be respectful. If you want to bring it at me, that's fine. We'll be respectful. We'll talk it out like adults. But yeah, it's gonna be a great series. It has been an amazing playoffs. There is nothing quite like NHL playoffs. The Lord Stanley's Cup, the hardest trophy to win, bar none.
Mm-hmm.
And you're seeing why. Like, everyone wants more game 7s. Bring it. We've got 3 coming up that are going to be outstanding, and neither of us have skin in the game. Really.
No, there's going to be some great hockey played. There's some really good teams this year that are vying for things. So,
it's going to be great. Really, what else is there to say?
Go Canes.
Go Canes.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Ray and I greatly appreciate your support in helping us produce an informative and fun podcast. As always, we'd like to say that we believe hockey is for everyone. Whether you're a Caniac or a bunch of jerks, doesn't matter, as we're just a couple of jerks anyway. We would love to hear your questions, comments, and suggestions. We will do our best to answer anything hockey related. You can reach us via email at stormcellar97@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are at stormcellar97, and on Facebook at facebook.com/stormcellar97.